Now we're back here on Gandalff the Gray, and here is the quite large Redmond motor that it uses. Quite a neat piece of work here. There's your information if you want to look at it. So the problem with this is that it's, bolted together, but it's also pressed together. And that's what these crimp things are for, I think, for it to be pressed together at the factory. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to hit on the shaft to try and start prying it apart. So what we're going to have to do is going to hit on the shaft to try and get it to separate, and if we can get enough space, then we can tap on the cover itself to get it to move, hopefully. We don't want to bang on the shaft too much, and we don't want to really hit this a lot because we don't want to disturb the windings and cause a short. So that's the biggest thing we're really worried about. If the Colin 583 or whatever used a rubber mallet, I think, to get his apart. He did one of the big window ones and had the same issue with the motor that's pressed together. So first thing we got to do is we got to take all the screws out of the motor. It's not going to go anywhere. Take the bolts out, and then we'll see how it goes. But we don't really want to bang. We don't really want to beat on this thing at all. So that's the deal. Let's see what happens. The other thing that's odd about this is that one of these bolts is longer than the others. Well, two of them are the same. Okay, maybe that's from the factory. I don't know. I keep wondering about this fan because it's been painted a few times, so not just once. So we don't always know the condition of these things. Let's see if we can get this apart. Ooh, they're just a little thin for that. Yes, I could use an electric drill for this. I don't have an impact. I probably should have one. Not an air one. Okay, we got a washer or bolt there. Even the Lakewoods with the Macmillan motors require a little coaxing to come apart. It's not that big a deal. Some of as far as the housing on the winding on the stator, still a bit of a tight fit. And then of course we gotta remember there are some witness marks on the motor here that you could use. There's a line here. I just want to make sure that we get this back together the right way. But it looks like we'll be able to. Well, those need some rust treatment, I tell you. I don't have anything like that. I don't even see how it would matter which side the long ones went. But I guess we should try to pay attention to that. It might eventually matter. So let's make a look of it. Now, this is for my use, but at the plate, nameplate, was a short one and a short one, and then across from those were the long ones. So that's all we need to know. All right, I made a Sharpie witness mark. You could see that, and then there's a bunch of clear sort of obvious things here that'll show us. There's a smudge here. I put a little scratch right here. So we have a few marks that can help us get it back together, sort of where it was, hopefully. So I'm going to try with the wood rubber mallet first. It's a pretty big mallet. We'll see. Ivy Classic. I don't even know where this came from. I think this is from my grandpa. I was older. Hopefully it stays together. And if that doesn't work, I can hit it on it with a regular hammer. And I have this big piece of brass that I will put here to soften the blow if I do end up having to do that. So that's my sort of fail-safe if the rubber mallet doesn't work. But I think that's how Colin got his apart. I watched his video a few times. He didn't show a lot of taking the motor apart, but he said it was a pain in the ass. And that's not a surprise. So let's see if anything happens here. All right, let's see. Ooh, that already looks like it. I don't know. It's already moving. A little bit of a space in there, so that's good news. Oh yeah, she's coming apart. And in the interest of not really hitting it that hard, or rather not really hitting it too many times, then I'm just going to keep twisting my screwdriver and she's going to keep moving. Look at that. All right, still not coming apart by hand, but we have several layers of several sizes of screwdrivers we could pry with. Sorry, I thought you could see better. All right, now we're at next screwdriver size. Still fighting this a bit. It's going to require lots of that. It'd be funny if I got about halfway apart and then couldn't get any further. All right. We've got a lot of ways to go here. We're already losing washers off the front of the motor here. I need a place for those. Go. There you are. Here we are with the Vornado Moto apart. Cool numbers. Pretty standard sort of case. I like the shape of that whole thing for the oil port. That is really cool. So we'll double check all of our washers. Here's our front and back. We have a bunch of them on there. And look at that. There's a whole bunch there. Wow, look at all those. All right, so we want to remember that. And let's take a close look at the stator. Now, I guess if we're gonna, oh, there's more of those guys. There you go. So the windings look awesome, I guess. A little dirty, but they're not burned up. So, I don't know, the plan was definitely to varnish this. Maybe it doesn't need it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this stator out of the rest of the case, which would also hinder us from doing the thing we talked about doing. All that talk about varnishing, I don't know if I'm going to do that. So anyway, let's start cleaning. It really is not that bad. And we'll oil it up and we'll get it back together if we can. Well, here's the front of the motor housing, and it really is very, very clean. Quite surprising, as you can see. The windings all look really nice. We can't really inspect the front of the head wire. It obviously goes through up to the other side. There's a little felt hanging out in front there, but honestly, this is pretty darn nice. The tape on the windings are all okay, and it would take a lot of energy to get the front cover off of this, which I could do, but I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm just gonna clean the bearings, oil the thing, and put it back together. I wiped the rotor down. I don't know. I mean, this is the bearings. The surfaces look really nice here where the bearings are. The bearings in the case look nice. So I just wiped it down, but it wasn't dirty. It wasn't dusty. You could see where they've drilled for weight, for balance, and a nice piece of work right here. Fairly heavy for its size, because it's all brass and bronze or whatever it is. I don't know what it is. You tell me. But it's got to be steel. Anyway, but these seem to be attached permanently, these guys here. And there was a fiber washer on the front, and then a metal washer on either side of those. They are right here. So that's all there was. The rest of it is like permanent spacing, it looks like. Very interesting. I wonder if it's even soldered on there or something. But I'm not going to mess with it. Not going to do it because it's not real gummy or messy, so should be fine. I recorded none of that. So anyway, here's the rear housing. The bearings, there was not a lot of gunk on them. There was no oil on anything to be said of it, but and it's funny because I definitely dropped oil in here over the years, but I don't know if it's getting where it's supposed to go. Who knows, right? I wonder if that threads out, if that comes out at all. I don't want to mess with it. But anyway, so that cleaned up pretty nice. And when I was talking about the rotor, also, you know, there was nothing. These little cup things seem to be permanently attached. So I think this is permanently spaced. Look at that. They don't seem to come off. But it's not too gummy or anything like that. So it's not like I have to worry about, you know, dirty oil, old oil coming off of that into the clean oil. So we're not going to worry about it. And for the reassembly montage, there was actually two of these. When I cleaned them, they came apart, and this fiber guy was on the front, not held on at all, just kind of sitting on the front. On the other side, that one was on the other side of this. The felt washer was on the other side of the front. So I'm going to attempt to put that back where it was. Gave these guys a little once over. They were pretty gummy, not rust removal or anything, but hit them up with some WD-40 and they came apart pretty good. I just made sure the threads are clean up and down, and we're all right. And if we've done it right, none of it should come out the front, meaning if we haven't over-oiled it. Actually put a little in the front because there's some feltage in the front there. Not really sure how critical that is, but did that. Now I have to figure out what needs to go in first and how. I need to get the head wires through the case over here, and I didn't really notice. Oh, they must go through there, obviously. So that's going to be the trick. What needs to go in first? I guess the rotor needs to go into the big housing, the front housing first. Yeah, I think so. So we're going to put a little oil on everything here. That's the hard part. Maybe if I had a thing to put it on like this. There we go, look at that. These wires. Of course, it's not really the wire itself, it's the coating. Put one extra drop on the thing there. And then let's see if we can get these to go through and play nice. Please play nice. I had a feeling this was not going to be easy. And then that other one through. And there you go. Come on, guys, just go on through. There you go. Nicely done. Okay, come on through, buddies. There we are. There you go. And we're pretty close to where we want to be. Look at that. Now the hard part is I now want the rotor to slide back and go in to its bearing. There we go. Okay, so now the rotor has slid into its bearing. And now we just want to look for our witness marks so that we know where was our mark. Yeah, so here on this side are some of our marks that tell us about where it needs to go. And then we just start tapping it together. You can see where the grommets were. It's all starting to kind of come together here. Oh, I forgot a bunch of stuff though. I'm an idiot. I'm taking it back apart now. Got the other washers. So, let's move you up, eh? So what I'm thinking about doing is using the clamp to push this together. And I don't see why that wouldn't work. And I just want to put some tape to keep it from marring up my surfaces. Don't mar up my surfaces, bro! This is really for woodworking or something other than what I'm using it for. But doesn't mean we can't use it. Yeah, it's gonna work good. I gotta be honest with you, this is working really good. And if you could come up with something like this to pull them apart, that would be even better. I'll bet the guys that work on these a lot probably have a system for that, for pulling these pressed motors apart. But everything looks pretty good. It looks like it's going together the way it should. How's our witness mark looking? We're looking pretty good. Well, it's got to get bolted together too. Obviously that holds it the rest of the way. I guess so, but we look pretty good. You can see the holes all line up where they think they should be, I think. There's that witness mark. I made a scratch. Where's my scratch? And there's my scratch that I made. So I think we got it right back where it should be. This is going to tell us whether we did or not, putting these things back in. So let's see how that goes. Now we had long, too long, and too short. I'm going to start with the shorts because we remember from our montage that the short ones were where the tag was. So moment of truth, does this go through? Moment of truth. Almost, it's there. Whew, yikes. Nice, it went through. Man, I'm so glad. Oh, I'm so glad. Alright, we're back here with the Vornado motor, and it spins pretty darn free. That's much better. Free, no sound. So getting it all the way brought together, aligned the bearings for us, that looks pretty darn good. Sorry, you can hear that rattling. Yeah, it's going to be good. So, there you go. Redmond motor. Ready to go back in. So that'll be the next step. I'm going to wipe it down, get all the oil off of it, so that when I have to handle it, it won't be so bad. And we should be okay. That went better than I thought. Didn't varnish it, but look. I'm doing the best I got here. So I think that for me, that was the best move, just get it back together. So that's the plan to continue with this. Next, I got to work on the base and the wiring, and then we'll be ready to start reassembling it with all the grommets that came off. We got to start stripping all the grommets out of it. The housing, the whole bit. So anyway, there's your Redmond motor. Really heavy. The most of the weight of this fan is the motor. It's crazy. The motor and the base. So anyway, there she is. Thanks for watching. Gandalff the Gray. We're going to get it together because I need it finished. And if you need a way to get these back together, get yourself a giant little C-clamp and use it as a vise. You could use a vise too, right? If you have a vise, that would press it together, as long as you can get it far enough apart. Some vices don't go that far apart. So anyway, that worked out pretty freaking well, to be honest with you. Aside that we didn't varnish it, but I think that should be fine, and I think she's going to run nice. So stay tuned for the next part, Gandalff the Gray.